Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Brandon, Community Manager with the University of Phoenix. And today we're having an honest conversation about the importance of building resiliency in the workplace. Today we're answering your questions on this topic, sharing about embracing transitions, adapting to change, and leaning into resilience. Joining us are some of our University of Phoenix career advisors, Jamie Johnson, Carla Hunter, and Carol Camarino. Thank you for joining us. Now, first up, we have Jamie, who will discuss more about building resiliency and gratitude. Jamie?
Thank you, Brandon. Hi, everyone. Since March 2020, we've been through a time of transition and a season of change. And when change happens in our lives, we either have the option to embrace it or to run and hide. And I can tell you personally, I've experienced it both embracing things and running or hiding. And as we talk about this topic, to be resilient, to build or create resiliency in our lives, I think about the Olympics and champions and athletes who do everything they can to win the prize. In fact, there's a lot of research that we find out there that's connected not only to sports and athletes, but business, education. There's like key elements that each person who is successful or resilient in times of change and transition. In fact, I was recently reading about Dr. Mustafa Sakhar and his work as a sports psychologist from Nottingham Trent University in the UK. And he was sharing that these key elements that he researched and discovered as he researched Olympian champions are everywhere, and there's something that we can embrace too. One of the things that really struck me the most was when he talked about the importance of viewing a decision as you have control of it, that it's not something that's a sacrifice, that when athletes say, yes, I'm going to do all these things, work 7 hours a day on this goal, they've actually taken control, that it's their decision. It's an active choice. The other element that I thought was really special too was that when they face setbacks, or what some people may call failures, they realized that they actually had control of that too, and how they were going to make a choice to use it. And the key was making the choice of, how can I look at this differently? What can I do differently that I can do better next time? As I was hearing the stories of all the Olympians who are preparing for the Tokyo Olympics this coming year, later this month, one particular Olympic swimmer, diver, actually really struck me. His story just really rang true for me. I don't know if you've heard of David Budaya. He was a U.S. Olympic diver, and he has participated in the Beijing Olympics, the London, and the Rio Games, and the past 3 games since 2008. From a young age, he was really excited and became very dedicated to becoming an Olympian. In 2008, he made it to the Beijing Games, but he didn't win any medals at that time. He went to London, he won the gold. And then, of course, in Brazil, he won the bronze. This year, he failed to qualify for the team. And what I loved was his story that he shared as he was being interviewed after he learned he had not made the team, which I think ties in so much to being resilient and career resiliency as we talk about it today. He said that after failing to qualify, he said, I couldn't help but leave the pool last night filled with joy. He said, it's easy to let yourself go down the path of thinking, oh, what could I have done differently? Think about your mistakes, dwell on what you didn't do. And he said, what I learned to do was make a choice. And that was either focus on my defeat or move forward. And he said, I choose to move forward with joy and contentment. That whole attitude, that whole thought, that whole technique of choice, like Dr. Sakhar was talking about in his research. And the other thing he talked about was gratitude and how important it is to be grateful and be thankful. And he said that he was so grateful for his experience as an Olympian. And as I reflected back what we have been through in this past 15, 16 months through the pandemic since March 2020, I started thinking, what am I grateful for? And how have I learned from my experience and turned it into something to move forward? And I found that that was something that for me, spending time with family and really reflecting and redirecting my life career-wise. So as we share this topic and talk about this further, we'd love to hear from you and your own personal experiences with career resiliency and gratitude. What is one thing that you feel grateful for as you reflect back and where you're going now? And we'd love to hear from you. Please feel free to share it in the chat with us as we go through this program. I'll turn it back over to you now, Brandon.
Thank you, Jamie. And it sounds like, even through defeats or great difficulty, there are things to be grateful for, right? So, well, thank you again, Jamie. And next we have Carla, who discuss traits of the resilient careers and advice
Hey,
from the Carla.
thank you. Brandon, are you sure we don't have 6 hours?
I mean, we have as long as we need.
Okay, so let's talk about career resilience in particular. And I'd like to ask you, what does career resilience mean to you? We have lots of questions because we're advisors. We ask lots of questions. Because when I think about career resilience specifically, I want to use some words. The words that come to me are having grit, determination, focus, clarity, even when things around you seem or feel very chaotic. And sometimes I think we live in a very chaotic world. And then if I could, let's talk about 3 traits of a careerist. One that comes to my mind is definitely adaptable to change. Change is, in fact, the most consistent thing in life. So are you adaptable to change? Are you flexible? Even flexible with positivity. How about that one? Change happens, and it may feel even painful, but later on it proves to be for our good. But that, of course, is later on. Another trait would be building up your emotional reserves, especially at work in particular. So I want to encourage you to start off your day just being quiet and mindful and taking care of yourself. Because when I'm mindful, it does really erase the clutter of my mind. And I'm a really big fan, although I've lost it now, of sticky notes. Sticky notes, I even have them for right now, but sticky notes really set the pace of my day. And I really like seeing how much I've gotten done when work is over. And then trait 3, readiness. Are you ready for what happens next in your career? So as your career coach at the University of Phoenix, which it is an absolute privilege to be your coach, I have some questions. Are you taking care of yourself? It's really, really important. Are you using LinkedIn as a power tool? It is used by 86% of employers and recruiters to find their next hire. Get an all-star profile. Our team will help you. Next question, is your resume targeted? Are you ready to position yourself as a solution to an employer's problem? Why? Because no employer hires for the fun of it. They have a problem. They have a gap. And you have immediate value to offer. So are you ready? Are you ready for an interview? Please don't be nervous. It's just a conversation. And when you're anxious during an interview, fog basically will set in and you won't really be able to think clearly. So those are the traits, and I just want to finish by saying one thing. Setbacks and challenges may be out of your control. There's nothing you could have done to stop it. But what you can control is your response, your resilient response to whatever happens in your career. You never know, but what you do know is the importance of taking care of yourself. Brendan, I'm going to turn it back over to you, but I could actually talk all day. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Carla. And one word that rings true, or at least came to my mind when you were talking, was prepare. You know, without a plan to succeed, you actually kind of have a plan to fail, right? So prepare as much as you can. Well, thanks again, Carla. Now, Carol will share more about job search resilience and creating a strategic plan. Carol?
Thanks, Brandon. And Jamie and Carla presented such amazing information. We actually, the three of us, talk about resilience a lot and share ideas and resources. And so what you'll find is that we're all kind of connected here. My role is to talk about resilience specifically relating to job search. And resilience, Carla shared, and I was in the chat, and a lot of people know this already, that resilience is that ability to adapt and react to challenges. And most people would put job searching up there as a challenging situation. Before I share 3 tips, I have 2 kind of insights to share. First, there's no one way to grow resilience, or 2 ways or 3 ways that works for everybody. So just know I'm going to toss out 3 for consideration. But if this topic is interesting to you or inspiring, by all means, dive a little deeper. There's great research out there, great information, exercises, and more. So just know that there's a lot more than we can share today. Next, resilience isn't a set point. It's not like you're born with a certain level of resilience and that's all you get. And Jamie and Carla both talked about different scenarios, and I saw people writing things in the chat about gratitude. And if you think about experiences you've had, you can probably reflect on times when you felt you were quite resilient and you bounced back fairly well and easily, and then other times where you felt you could have used a little more resilience. So the point is, however resilient you feel today, you can change it and build it and increase your resilience by doing some of the things we'll talk about today and others. Okay, so I'll share my 3 tips. I love alliteration, so my 3 all start with the letter P. And I use the verb form with ing ending because that makes them action-oriented and ongoing action. And all of these things take continued focus and attention. Okay, so my 3 are practicing, planning, and peopling. And I'll talk about each of these a little bit. So in terms of practicing, what I'm referring to specifically is practicing gratitude and compassion. And Jamie talked about that, and so did Carla. So in terms of gratitude, and some of you were talking about it also in the chat. So in terms of practicing this, how can you integrate it into part of your regular day? Is it journaling at night or in the morning, setting gratitude alarms on your phone so you remember to stop what you're doing and tap into that idea of gratitude? Because it really does help with mindset and making a shift in perspective. And that idea of practicing compassion, Carla talked about how important it was to take care of ourselves. And during job search, making sure that you are getting rest, you're eating well, you're building movement into your day, staying hydrated, all of those things to help your machine, your mind and body, to operate from strength. Very important. Okay, the next one is planning. If you've worked with any of us on the career services team, you've likely heard the words strategic job search plan, career plan, action plan. We're all about planning. And your job search is a project that you are managing right now. So having a plan helps you to increase resilience because you know what you have to do to move towards your goals. So writing down everything that is part of your job search, and if you need help coming up with action items, reach out to us. There's more to a strategic job search plan than just spending time on the job boards. Carla hinted at a couple: focused resume, being on LinkedIn, and lots more. But put those all out, Write them on your calendar, the daily tasks, the weekly tasks, the monthly tasks. That way, on days where you feel less enthusiastic, less motivated than you'd like to be, you don't have to start from zero. You have your plan all set. And even if you just get through one or two of them, you start the next day a little further ahead than the day before. So that's planning. And lastly, peopling, the power of connections. I mean, there's so much research on how valuable it is to be connected for health, success, happiness, and more. And that does help with resilience as well. So this one is related to planning. You have to plan for your people time, planning for peopling. Write on your calendar, who do you want to connect to? Who haven't you spoken with? Who do you want to do something with? Who's that person that always makes you feel happy or makes you laugh or reminds you about your special gifts? Networking. Another idea around peopling is volunteering. Volunteering is actually a double bonus, everyone, because you get to be around people and you're doing something altruistic. And there's a lot of research out there about the power of altruism, particularly when someone is going through a difficult time, and how powerful that can be to kind of get out of your situation and make a difference for somebody else. Okay, so today you actually just did all three. You practiced compassion and gratitude by participating and sharing your gratitude points. You planned to attend, you put this on your calendar, so you were planning, and you're peopling just by virtue of being here with other University of Phoenix alumni and us, and we're so happy to have you here. Okay, Brandon, back to you.
Well, I love it. See, you can build your resilience just by practicing the 3 Ps, right? There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Carol. And thanks I'd like to thank our panelists for participating. Now we're going to move into our questions and answers portion of the stream. Our first question is from Tori S. She asked, why is being open to change so important to career resilience?
Jamie, why don't you take that question?
I was just thinking about that because, you know, it makes me think of the 4 seasons. And the reason why that comes to mind is we see the process of how change happens in nature, right? And what happens in nature is if the trees don't bud and grow and have that time of dormancy, then they don't have the opportunity to grow into the full greenery as they experience in the summertime. And of course, we get to enjoy the brilliancy of their colors when they're getting ready to go into the new cycle of going dormant again. And that's kind of the process of what happens with change. So if we aren't open to change, we end up like the leaf who I've seen on the trees that hangs on and is wrinkled and is not going to give up. He's not willing to move. And so what happens is that branch gets stopped in its growth process. And that's what can happen. Resiliency is about being able to go forward, to take whatever experience you've been through and to turn it into something that will be meaningful and powerful for you in a positive perspective. So if we hold on to the past, we don't have the opportunity to continue the growth cycle. And that's very important. Do you want to add anything else to that, Carla or Carol?
I just want to say brilliant. That was a fantastic example.
Exceptional.
All right, we'll move on to our next question here. Heather H. asked, what was trait 2 for the career resilience traits?
Trait 2, build up your emotional reserves, encouraging you to be mindful, encouraging you to erase the clutter in your mind. Because if you think about it, when you start your day at work, you want to be ready, you want to be excited, you want to have a lot of energy, because by the time the day is over, you might be a little low on your emotional reserves, especially if you're having difficulties or challenges with your boss, your coworkers, your responsibilities. So your emotional reserves and building them up is absolutely essential. And I wonder, Carol, can you think of another way to build your emotional reserves that I haven't said?
Well, I mean, we could, and we do often talk about this all the time, but connecting with people, having your committee, create your own committee of advisors, and you need a lot of different people. You don't just need the cheerleaders, though they're good. You need the connectors, you need the challengers, you need the why not people. Um, yeah, I mean, just so build your fabric of people that you can rely on, and be that for other people. So it's not just what you can get from people. How can you turn around and extend yourself for others as well? It's all so powerful.
It is. And can I add 2 more P's?
Okay.
I want to add 2 more P's to the list, so we have 5. But another P is purpose. We need a purpose. And the other one is perseverance.
It's all right if I just want to add something to what you all were sharing. I always think of that story, when you go on the plane and the flight attendant says, the air masks fall down, and they say, you're with your child or whoever your loved one is, and they say, put the mask on yourself first and then put it on your loved one. And I feel like sometimes that's part of the process with being resilient, is you must nurture and take care of yourself. If you don't, you won't have the reserves or the ability to help others. And I remember one time I was going through a difficult time, and I ended up having to stop. I was in the middle of my graduate program. I was working full time, had a lot of things going on, and I had to take a day and just do something fun. And I watched 10 hours of Anne of Green Gables. And that helped me to come back and feel strong. And I was able to go out and give and help and do things and get back to studies. I don't know what that's like for you, but everybody has a different way to nurture yourself, as they were sharing earlier, to bring back that resilience, to build toward it.
Yeah, you have to build up your own energy reserves so you can help others. Excellent advice.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on to our next question here. Courtney T asks, how can I practice gratitude in my everyday routine?
Ooh.
I was going to say, I'll toss one out, and then maybe we can each add one.
Sure.
Oh, only one?
I know. So I think, Courtney, a great thing, we need to be reminded to do this. So I really love, I said this already, but I want to repeat it, that idea of setting little alarms on your phone twice a day and let them be your gratitude reminder bells, and just stop, take a couple of minutes and think about, what am I grateful for in this very moment? I just saw a beautiful bird fly by the window. I got a great email from somebody. I wrote a really great cover letter, whatever it might be, but just build it into your daily practice. Okay, that's mine. Who wants to go next?
I can go next. I was just going to say journaling, which is another way to record all those things. And you can keep track of what you've done for the day and to remember those things. I call it a gratitude journal, separate from even a personal journal. It can be part of it, but just to write down the positive things that you're thankful for.
Mm-hmm. And then finally, I think about all of the people that I love, and I'm very grateful for them. I especially think about my family, my friends, my colleagues, and just to have today, because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I'm very grateful for today.
I can add to it as well. Why not? The gratitude jar, you put something that you're grateful for in there every single day. You know how filled that jar would be? Oh man, there's a lot to be grateful for.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll move on to our next question here. Ryan V asks, can you share more about how I can use my connections to help with career resilience?
That's Carol, peopling.
Well, oh gosh, this almost could be another session, a talk about this. So Ryan, I'm going to toss out, and we'll all share something, but feel free to make an appointment also to meet with us, and we can really go more granular. But I really love the idea of looking to give before the ask. So if it feels, sometimes it can feel uncomfortable to ask for help. So what if you just made it your point to look for an opportunity to be of service to people in your circle, your friends, family, professional circle, neighbors, etc., and just start offering to help. Make an introduction for somebody, recommend that book, share an idea, give encouragement. Like I said, sometimes that's a great first step, looking for opportunity to give before thinking about asking. Not that there's anything wrong with asking, but it does sometimes feel more challenging for people to do that first.
You want me to go next? I was just going to say that in connection with people, joining a book club, getting involved in a topic that you're really interested in, where you're going to make connections with people, volunteer in those organizations. Maybe you love gardening and you join the Master Gardener class and you start connecting, and maybe you're a part of Meals on Wheels and go around and help take care of those in your neighborhood. There's a lot of different ways. What is it that you have a personal interest that not only will help you use your own talents and strengths, but will help you connect with others who have similar interests and passion?
And then my answer is write a recommendation for one of your colleagues on LinkedIn that was unsolicited. Just take the time and think about all of the skills your colleague brings to the table and write a recommendation, and do it once a week. Whatever you want to do, but put your clock, have a timer on, and take some time and write a recommendation.
Do things for others like you would want them to do for you, right? I mean, sometimes it's just that simple. Well, I think we have time for 2 more questions, so we'll move on to the next one here. Alex S. asks, how can I remain resilient when I'm feeling burnt out?
Ooh. And you begin by starting to walk towards being refreshed. When you're burned out, you have nothing to offer. So just like if you're really thirsty, you just start drinking water. And I would think, what refreshes you? What does that look like? And then begin to walk towards it.
And I think this goes back to that practicing compassion in the P. And Alex and anyone else, sometimes, well, Jamie's example of 10 hours of Green Gables, just hit pause, sit in it for a little bit, take care of yourself, take a break, and then it's incremental next step. Like, what's just one small thing I can do? Those little small successes that are gentle enough to just start, igniting that spark again. This could be another whole session, but I want to give Jamie time.
No, well, I was just thinking about that because I just remember when I was feeling burned out from everything, just like both Carol and Carla were sharing, I literally stopped and I had to put myself on pause. And then I did baby steps. It's like that one thing at a time because I literally could not handle anything else. And I had to find something that would strengthen me so I could go back and give. And so once I took that time to strengthen myself, then I was able, it's like, the Maslow hierarchy of needs. If you don't take care of the basics, you aren't able to go forward into other growth opportunities. So it's like you take care of the basics, and then you're able to go forward and make a difference and help others because you have the foundation then. But give yourself time and be patient with yourself and be forgiving, because that way you'll be there for others as they struggle through the same issues. We all go through it, but we will all come through it. That's the one thing I've learned.
Taking a break, taking a pause, and just taking a step back. I mean, that's a great place to start, right?
Yes.
All right. Well, we'll move on to our final question here. Anna H. asks, I sent my resume to employers, but don't get any interviews of jobs that I want. How do I stay focused?
Okay, can I start this one? Anna, that's such a great question. And I think all of us on the panel and our 5 other colleagues on the team, we all get this question a lot. So this is where kind of assessing, and there could be so many levers to pull to help gain traction. So how to stay focused, I would say reach out for some assistance from our team, and let's talk about that strategic plan and what you might want to change. I'll just finish with this and say, I always say, let's set the plan, then work it consistently for a period of time. And if you're not getting results, let's go back to the drawing board. Marketers do this all the time. If a cereal brand isn't selling, they all huddle and they think about, what else do we need? Do we need to change the box? Do we need to change the placement? Do we need to have a collaboration with another brand? So just know that there are lots of ways to make a change in your plan. Reach out to us. It could be another whole session.
Yeah, and I think another critical part of the process is following up. I can hear a lot of times people say, I applied online, I sent my resume, and I haven't heard anything back. And I step back and go, what could you do to follow up? Maybe it's finding a talent acquisition specialist on LinkedIn who works for that company and just sending them a short message. There are many ways to follow up, but I think that is an essential part of the job search process.
Yeah, and I'd love to add to what Carla and Kara were both saying. When we talked about the follow up, the people connection, the peopling, it's all about relationships when we're in the job search process. And sometimes when we're in that heat of getting all those applications out, we forget the people side. We forget, well, there are people who are going to look at these documents. Who do I know in that company or in that organization who might know somebody, which is the wonderful thing about strategic networking. And we'd love to help you with walking through that, how you can build. We have the brand new networking program that you can access that are designed for alums and soon-to-be students, the Phoenix Link networking group. There's LinkedIn, but finding that people connection to help you make a personal connection can be another key to help you to make that change for a successful job search. But we're here to help you. That's what our goal is. All of us here are on your side and on your team.
Yep.
Such excellent information. Yeah, we have a huge support system. I mean, we're talking to them right now. So, well, I'd like to thank our panelists for participating and thank the audience for tuning in. If we didn't get to your question, we will do our best to answer it offline. You can learn more about our University of Phoenix's Career Services for Life commitment at phoenix.edu/career. And with that, we hope everyone has a good day.
Bye.
Bye.